You know, there's just something glorious about hating on things. Hating on things that people love in general. And I thought it would be a good idea, not an original idea, but a good idea nonetheless, to dive into that cesspool of negativity and read what people have said about some of my favorite books of all time. So today we're going to dive into the conglomerate mess that is Goodreads, the website that has one of the worst user functions to this day, even back when I used it 2015, 2016, so 10 years now, and it's pretty much the same. Some of the reviews on there, what people have said, are some of my favorite things to read. There's just so much range between 1 and 5-star reads. I feel like, for the most part, if I really like a book, I might gush a bit, especially talk about it a lot on my channel. But if I really hate something, it's so passionate. It comes from a place deep within me. I feel like I can speak for a lot of people as well. We just unleash this demon inside of us. I am hoping to read some really unhinged things about what people have said regarding these books. But just so you know, they're all wrong. A lot of my favorite books are all 5 stars for a reason. They're God tier. They're perfect. Not a single sin tarnishing their images, of course. As always, this was a joke. And if you can't stand, hearing a different opinion from your own, I feel like you might be the problem in the room. Anyways. Okay, full stop. Before we get further into the video, say hello, Pira. I would like to thank today's video sponsor, none other than Book of the Month. So Book of the Month is a monthly subscription service where every month they cater to your needs of curating 5 to 7 new and early release titles so that you can spend more time reading, essentially doing all the work for you. I personally found a lot of new favorites from Book of the Month and even authors that I've never heard from before. And every month after you select your books, your choice of the month, they come in their signature blue box just like this. And every time I see it without fail, even though I know which books I chose for that particular month, I'm always just so giddy and happy opening, the box in general. It's like literally Christmas every time. Their whole main mission essentially is to inspire and shape a more thoughtful and curious culture, especially in terms of reading. So for this particular month, I think I can speak for everyone when I say that this selection is top-notch because I went with one of them, Blue Sisters. I've seen this book everywhere at the beginning of the summer because it was released early in the UK. I've heard nothing but really great things, especially within the literary fiction space. All I know is that it deals with grief, sisterhood. It follows these 3 estranged sisters who come together after the death of their 4th sister. I mean, the 2 books that I chose, it's kind of giving sort of like a sad transitional mood into like the fall season, melancholy, depression, a little blue moods here and there. This second book I picked is Mad Woman. Again, the cover, stunning. This one follows a young mother who has 2 kids of her own. She's living basically the perfect life until she receives a letter from a woman's prison. And it just brings her whole life to a screeching halt and trying to stay 2 steps and alive from her past that is slowly catching up to her. So we have these 2 stunning books all about sisterhood, motherhood, womanhood, grief, trauma. We'd love to see it. So there it is. You can use my link down below with code CARDIGAN to get your first book for only $5. Again, they truly never miss. They have the best prices for any newly released hardcover fiction book out there. Definitely get on that. And so with that being said, everything will be linked down below. And thank you once again to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. We're just going to go ahead and get started, but I'll quickly show you the pile of books that I have right here. Here's a quick glimpse of all of my favorite books that we're going to go over. We're going to go ahead and go with one of my favorite books or book series of all time, which is The Raven Boys. I feel like the negativity around this would be that people didn't really like the writing, the prose, and didn't get the story overall. It's much more dreamlike and aesthetic, more about the vibes, but what did it for me were the characters. And so here we go, interested to see what people will say. Someone said, finished it, and still didn't like it. Comma, 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 comma. At least I think these are all commas. And at the end, they said, got halfway through the book and had to stop. I just couldn't get into it. If it was a shorter book, I would have finished it, but it's way too long to suffer through. What's with all the commas, TJs? Interesting. Elena said, how is this book so popular? Did I get a bootleg copy with horrid writing? Just say you don't enjoy good writing, Elena. That's all you have to say. This person said, I don't want to read or listen to another Maggie Stiefvater book ever again. So what Rachel is essentially saying is they don't want to have a good time, is what I'm hearing. Boring. Jenna said, can we talk about the name Gansey for a second? Who names their kid Gansey? I mean, I could literally ask you the same question. Who names their kid Jenna? No offense to all the other Jennas out there. I'm just singling this one out. DNF'd at 3.5 minutes in because of the saturation of tarot cards, palm reading, seances, and fortune telling, etc. What do you have against palm reading or seances? I just know if someone went up to this person and was like, what's your star sign? Ooh, automatically, I just know they would give you a 1 star. Someone else said, I tried so hard. I am a failure. Finally, at 61%, I made the decision to put it down. Grumble. Well, Ms., like you said in the beginning of your review, you are a failure. You know, it's good when people acknowledge, their weaknesses. And that's what I like to see. Someone said, the things I do for Amanda. Who the fuck is Amanda? Was Amanda the one who recommended that you read this book? Because if so, that's a good friend right there. Some of these are so funny. I feel like the majority of the reviews have stated that they're not really caring for any of the characters, the aesthetic, or the prose, which is understandable. This one said DNF at 56% due to COVID-19 reading slump. Someone said in the reply, and whose fault is that? Like I said before, Goodreads never ceases to amuse me. Let's go with The Foxhole Court. I understand that this book has such a chokehold back when people were much more active on Tumblr fan accounts and all that. The reason why I read this book series was because I saw fan art of the actual characters on Tumblr. And so that got me piqued and really interested in reading The Foxhole Court. And I can understand why this series is not for a lot of other people. It really reads like fan fiction and something you would find on Wattpad, but that's the beauty of it, I think. The characters, the story, the made-up sport, it's just chef's kiss. Carrie said, my therapist told me to read a book I don't like to help me fall asleep, so I read this. Hey, Carrie, all I gotta say is that therapist, I really hope that you're still with that therapist. They're the GOAT. They're looking out for you in your best interest, and, it worked. The best thing about this book is the cover, and the cover fucking sucks. I mean, this I had to agree with, because the covers are truly the most simple covers I've ever seen on any type of book. One of the few 1-star reviews that I agree with. Peyton said, everyone has their own Riverdale. This is my Riverdale. That is actually really funny. It reminds me of that meme where the one character was like, you don't understand the highs and lows of football when they're like in jail or something.
I dropped out in the 4th grade to run drugs to support my nana.
That means you haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of high school football.
Another reviewer said, literally no clue what was happening. Well, I read the next books. Yes. You know what, Autumn? This is the type of mentality I like to see from a lot of other people. So kudos to you. Giving the first book 1 star and also continuing on. That is a rare feat. I don't even remember the last time this happened to me. Maybe about that time I read a book series about a harem, a reverse harem. That was interesting. To the 18,461 people on the site who have read this book at 5 stars and the additional 2,141 people who have shelved this as a favorite, turn on your location. I just want to understand. My location is on. Come through, Ethan. Let's have a chat. And hey, if you want to brawl it out, you would probably win, but that's not the point. But hey, I appreciate the directness. Oh my god, someone replied to Ethan's review and said, sometimes we just want a shitty story about mentally ill kids playing stickball and running from the mafia. Honestly, facts. I 1000% agree with Jen. Let's move on into one of my favorite books of all time, which is The Song of Achilles. I read this a few years ago and I absolutely adored it. I loved it. I love the characters, the story, the ending, the embellished ending that Madeline gave to the characters, which was chef's kiss, 100% perfection. Now I'm curious to see what people will think, just because, it is sort of an embellished tale revolving around these 2 characters in the Iliad, so I wonder if we have any diehard fans here. This person said 1.5 stars. The writing was mediocre, the author clearly knows her stuff, but the dialogues were often ridiculous, the pacing was off. The story never seemed to end. Now I wonder, how the hell does an epic tale become such a bland, flat story? I was gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. Like, literally, I was gonna be like, okay, I agree, I can see where you're coming from, but then you said, I never read the Iliad. Bitch! Everything out the window. Like, this whole review, it's just moot at this point for me. So, they also said my biggest problem was the characters. They were awful characters. Patroclus is portrayed from the beginning as this weak, bland guy who can't defend himself. Yeah, you clearly didn't read the Iliad. So, moving on. This person said, DNF at 25%. Not worth wasting my time on something I'm utterly not interested in. This is simply M&M romance cloaked in mythology. Christina, just say you hate gay people and move on. This screams codependency, but make it Greek so it's tragedy instead of toxic shit. I said what I said. Sometimes you can say what you say, but no one will agree with you. So, this person gave a 1-star review and they simply just put, I can't stop crying. 1 star. You know, I fucking love that. Robin said, Greek mythology, sweetie, I'm so sorry. Okay, Tim, let's see what you have to say. They said, listen, I never actually finished this. I stopped halfway through. Mila's writing is the most pedestrian thing I've ever read in a long, long time. It reads like a smutty Greek fantasy of hers that she submitted for her freshman. I'm not going to finish reading this. This to me just screams bland, boring POV review from a man. Song of Achilles makes me want to never read another gay or Greek novel ever again. Bitch, it's not that deep. Get over it. You know what? We're just gonna move on into my next favorite book, which is Pure Nessie, one of my favorite books of all time. And listen, I feel like the majority of people who aren't gonna like this book probably won't be able to either understand it, think it's pretentious, or just not get the prose overall. I feel like that is basically the majority in most cases of these books. Local Peanut said, weird and unforgivably boring. It's like reading my ATM receipt in Esperanto. Let me read that ATM receipt, because if it's anything like Pure Nessie, automatic 5 stars. Reading this book felt exactly like listening to someone tell you in excruciating detail all about the crazy dream they had last night. I mean, hey, I could literally pull the exact same thing that you said back on you, a 180. So someone just gave 1 star and said no, which, you know, I can respect. Simply put, no. I did not enjoy this book at all. I found it tedious and a labor to read. Maybe in simpler times I would enjoy the challenge, but I just did not have the bandwidth. You know, hey, it's okay, like I said before, to admit when you don't have the mental capacity or the mental bandwidth to understand just a simple, a beautiful, not pretentious at all story, you know? Some people just can't or don't want to understand the simplicity that is beauty. So, whatever. Made it through only 50 pages. I'm so bored. Where's the story though? Why am I reading about unlimited vestibules and tides? I mean, you said it yourself. You only made it through 50 pages. Jess said, what is everyone else smoking? The good shit, let me tell you that. I don't have anything nice to say, so I won't say anything at all. That is my review. See, everyone should be like Miriam. Just give it a 1 star, say exactly what Miriam said right here, and just walk away. It's so funny as I say this because someone takes all this seriously, goes on my Goodreads reviews, look at my 1 stars and being like, bitch, you're a fucking hypocrite. Well, all right, let's move on to On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, which is another favorite book of mine. The prose, the story, I can relate to it because I'm also a Vietnamese, gay, queer person coming from a family, a bunch of immigrants, generational trauma, you know, all of the good themes. And so let's see what people will have to say with this one. This is the most pretentious book I've ever read. It made me realize how much I dislike book with tedious, unnecessary descriptions that don't contribute to the story. Bitch, I don't know what book you're reading. And then they go off to list examples. Just say you're a hater and you hate queer literature. Someone said a friend loaned me this phony book to be returned to him before a scheduled party at his house a few weeks later. After the first sentence, I knew I was going to have to force myself to finish it in time. They also go on and say the main problem is the narrator is pessimistic, almost misanthropic without reason. You were a hater from the start. You really hated about reading generational trauma, queer Asian families, the exploration of queerness and sexuality. It just tells me something, that you might be straight and you could care less about any of those themes that I just said earlier. I mean, wow, it's 2024 and throw those homophobic ideals out the window. Oh my gosh, they even say he lives the basically decent lower middle life class of a first generation immigrant who went to college. Why does he seem to hate it so much? I feel like you just missed the entire point of the entire story. Like, someone just gave it 1 star and before they left, they said, on Earth, we're briefly tortured by this book. You know, 1000% agreed. Could someone please tell me what the point of this book is? You know, I'm gonna zoom in into your profile picture and I'm just gonna leave it at that. So this person said, this is a really unnecessarily try-hard book and very Christian. What do you have a problem with Christians, Nick? That is very telling of you. And they said, after the first 7 to 10 pages, I disliked it to a sufficient degree that I felt motivated to finish it simply to see how this could possibly pan out. I mean, hey, kudos to you for finishing this book, unlike some other people, right? This person said, Jojo Siwa's Karma is more lyrical than this book. You know, I want to hold you to that. Actually dance out the entire choreography of Karma. Film it and then post it to your socials. Then we can talk, okay? Oh my gosh, another person said, I have no fucking clue what this guy was trying to tell his mom, bro. Okay, bro, you clearly didn't understand the point of the story. Oh my goodness. Someone said, being a poet does not automatically make you a good novelist. Okay, this gagged me a little bit. Okay, next we're gonna go with Assassin's Apprentice, the first book in the realm of the Otherlings by Robin Hobb, one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. I honestly can see why people might not like it because the story is slow, not a lot happens, and I want to say the first trilogy of the entire series, but you just gotta stick with it. It's just one of those classic fantasy stories with just beautiful, like crafted characters and the plot. It'll pay off. Abigail said, so boring, hated every character, absolute snorefest. I tried so hard to like this book, picked it up twice, but after getting through 60%, it's still boring, so I'm leaving it firmly in 2020. If there was a dislike button, I would definitely push it on this review. 1 star. What the hell is this? I'm writing this review about 10 months to a year after I read the book. I mean, hey, they read the book, they waited 10 months for it to ruminate, inside of their brain, and then decide, you know what, I'm coming back. That is dedication. The fact that you've been sitting with this book in your head for so long, for almost a year before you wrote the review, is something. Too focused on being edgy and depressing to live up to its potential. Whoever's fantasy is like this has a sad imagination. At least we have imagination, you bitch. King Tony said, not the best book I've read all year. I can't even remember the protagonist's name. Do not do Fitz dirty like that. Oh my gosh. Have some decorum and respect. William said it was a struggle to finish Assassin's Apprentice, but to be fair, I did finish it. Okay. We finished a lot of things. Okay. That's like the barest minimum to me. Oh my god. Someone said chivalry is dead and so is this book. There's some 1-star gems in here that I actually am like nodding my head and being like, okay, you did well. Oh my god. I have read over 100 fantasy books in my lifetime. Over 100. Okay, wow. Reading both old fantasy books that started the genre and the new wave of darker, more elaborate fantasy books. Stephen Erickson, Ian Esselman, Glenn Cook, George, Never Gonna Finish This Game of Thrones, Martin, Mark Lawrence, blah, blah, blah. I don't even have to read the full review. To me, Luca, all you said is you've been reading fantasy books written by men. Just say you hate women. Simply put, that's all your review needed to say and encompass. So, Pat said, waste of time. Our hero Fitz is an emo, amnesiac, lack wit. Oh my god, Fitz, I'm so sorry for all of the hate you've been receiving. Fitz is a passive patsy of the First Order. But you said it right there. His life is awful and he's surrounded by awful people. Hello? Like, the irony? What? If you had a crap childhood, a crap life, get screwed over all the time, see no hope for your own future or the future of your society, this is the book for you. Dig in. Pat, I love it. I love the passionate, just the capitalization of all the words and just, oh my god. The first sentence. I'm just going to refer to Fitz from now on as an emo, amnesiac, lackwit from now on. Okay, we're going to move on to Vita Nostra. This is like a really strange, bizarre book, and I can already see why people may not like it. It's just very, very bizarre, a little hard to get into, and just hard to understand in general. This book sucked and made me furious. I thought it was Harry Potter in Russia, but it was without any fun or whimsy or joy. Life is all about nuance, okay? It's not just about rainbows and puppies all the time. Okay, Abby? Bleak, cold, depressing, stilted. The way it made me feel. Like finding pieces of glass in your dinner. Wow. Loved all the adjectives. The question is not what the fuck happened in this book. The question is why did I continue after reading the first chapter? It seems like this is a common problem that some people had, giving this book 1 star, but they couldn't stop reading it. It's like the magic is real or something, seeping into your real life. Finding some common middle ground here, folks. Mysterious man makes woman do humiliating things so people she knows are not harmed. The act causes her to vomit gold coins, which she takes. Abandon the book. Sounds like Susan is not really into this type of kink or fetish, and that's totally fine. Let's move on into one of my top favorite books of all time, The Starless Sea. Favorite book of all time, literally. I have tattoos of the bee key and the sword, and it has my whole being. Let's see what people have to say about that. I am so disappointed. Bee, sword, story, doorknob, someone doing something somewhere but loses someone, tunny, sea, bees, sword, cat, story, fragments. This is literally The Starless Sea. This book is literally based off of vibes. No plot. Nonsensical even. On characters, I actually love the characters. And just the writing overall. But apparently some people don't really fuck with that, and that's totally fine. DNF at 203. You're not my real mom and you can't make me read this. Okay, Savannah, seems like you've got some mommy issues you need to work out. This book was so bad that at times it drained my will to live. Someone replied, oh no, the synopsis sounds so good. Say it isn't so. That is so funny. Say it isn't so. It's honestly giving that meme where someone was like, oh no, you're so young, haha. What? I just don't get it. There's no story, or am I just unable to find it? It's like a pile of beautiful things. Hey, that's literally what this whole book is. A pile of beautiful things. So you are the type of person to go to a museum, look at a beautiful painting and being like, oh my god, this beautiful artwork is a piece of shit. Let's move on onto, let's go with A Little Life. I am not even surprised at what people will say about this one because this book is a lot. Very triggering, very heavy, not for the faint of heart, or just a quick recommendation out there. You got to be in the right headspace for this one. There's not a single real character in this book, and it never ascended above a soap opera level in its depiction of its characters. Okay, interesting. I have nothing to contribute to this review, and someone agree with it, in fact. DNF'd. Don't ask. I broke at some point close to the end and kicked it across the lounge, and it's now my 2-year-old's plaything and good riddance. Ooh, I would definitely be very careful at letting your 2-year-old play with this. In fact, I would take it away immediately. A Little Life was a little too fucking long. Over 750 pages of constant pain, misery, and suffering. Agreed. Agreed. I feel like the discourse for this book is you either really, really love it or you really, really hate it. Someone said, I'm free! Worst experience of my life. Honestly, facts. 1 star. Misery porn. Or as Shakespeare so eloquently stated, a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury signifying nothing. Honestly, I love this review because this quote from Shakespeare, 1000%. For me, it hit differently than a lot of other people. I really love the writing, the characters, and I do agree it was a lot at points, and I don't think I expected it to be as horrific as it was. Like, I had no idea. I just saw some people recommending it, and just knowing that it was sad, a little brutal at times, but not to that extent. Give someone 800 pages of pure misery and they're gonna cry. Duh. Also, the author doesn't believe in therapy. Just not for me. True. Honestly, every single 1-star review of A Little Life, I can get by. I agree. Okay, let's leave it at that. Those are all of the negative reviews for all of my all-time favorite books. I honestly agree and can see why people said what they said. And hey, if you made it this far into the video and you still think I am being serious at everything that I said, you're new here. Catch up, please get with the program, okay? But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it. I'll leave a link to my Patreon down below if you guys are looking to join like a book club, reading sprints, movie nights, game nights, all that. Everything will be linked down below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all soon with a new video.